We now know of another Trump ally who was searched by the FBI. We're talking about MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell. Now, on his podcast, Lindell said the FBI stopped him at a Hardee's drive-thru, seized his phone in connection with a Colorado county clerk facing charges of plotting to breach voting system technology. Joining us now to weigh in, former Trump 2020 senior advisor Jason Miller. Jason, great to have you here with us in studio today. Your response to yet another Trump ally being directly, I will say, met at an unusual circumstance, unusual location by the FBI. Is this excessive?
Well, I think I speak for most Americans when I think there's a strong politicization hand that's being used right now against anyone who's viewed as a Trump ally or anyone within the Trump orbit. I have not read the subpoena, but I know Mike Lindell is a patriot. And to go and interrupt him when he's in line at Hardee's, going through the drive-thru, really seems to be nothing short of remarkable. It really seems to be a stretch. And I'm hearing some of the names of some of the junior staffers who have been served subpoenas in recent days. And this might seem like a ha-ha moment for the politicized DOJ and what they're doing. But what I don't think they totally realize, they're then forcing these young kids, I say kids because I'm an old man at 47, but people in their mid and late 20s to then spend $10, $20, $50,000 on a lawyer to say, I didn't see anything. I was gone by mid-November or the end of November. I stayed for a couple of weeks after the campaign and then I was done. So I don't really know what their end game is other than to make sure that anyone around President Trump or who worked for him before maybe thinks twice about doing it if he runs in 2024.
Jason, how often do you talk to the former president?
So this last month I've been traveling quite a bit to the UK and Brazil on behalf of Getter. But prior to that, I'd say usually once a week or once every other week. Okay. So I haven't spoken with him in a few weeks as I've been out of the country most of the time.
I was kind of curious, his response. We saw the, I think you live in Virginia, and out in Sterling where he has his golf course, not in Bedminster, but the one down there in Virginia. There were shots of him around with a bunch of people talking. Now, there are lots of reasons you would want to do that. Any insight on what's going on or what the former president is thinking?
No, but I did notice that Larry Glick was with him, and Larry's the head of all of Trump's golf courses. And so if Larry is along, then it has something to do legitimately with golf. Otherwise, Larry wouldn't be part of that group. And what I'm guessing is there's some new investors, maybe some new club members, and it just having...
So the idea that this is related to the subpoenas or that he's about, this is what we saw in mainstream, he's about to be indicted. From your perspective, that's not the case.
I don't think that's the case. You wouldn't have Eric Trump riding around with him on the golf cart. You wouldn't have the head of golf for Trump org riding around with him if that was the case.
Yeah. Do you anticipate, Jason, that there will be an indictment? We're hearing more and more from people on both sides, whatever the political beliefs are, anticipating an indictment. And if so, how do you think the former president would respond, since you do know him?
So here's the thing that I think the DOJ is doing. Obviously, we've seen the leaks that happened, particularly around Mar-a-Lago. It's very clear that there's a game that's being played to try to weaponize, essentially, the DOJ in the run-up to the elections. Yes, some of the subpoenas were served previously, but now we're just finding out about them. We're getting awfully close to the midterm election. And just as Ken referenced in the previous segment, earlier in the summer, we thought this would be a massive Republican wave. Still going to be a wave, but it's not going to be quite as big. So I don't know ultimately what they do, but where I do get concerned when we talk about the politicization of this, look at someone like Letitia James in the investigation in New York. She ran for Attorney General in New York, saying that she's going to lock up Donald Trump.
Yeah, take him down.
Look at Fani Willis, the DA in Atlanta. She actively campaigned against Donald Trump, and now we're supposed to think that President Trump is going to get a fair shake. And then when it comes to the feds, I'm really concerned as an American the way that our vision and our views of law enforcement and criminal justice system have been eroded over the last few years, from the Mueller witch hunt to other things. We used to point at Cuba and Venezuela and laugh at them and say, oh, those are the banana republics where when someone new comes into office, then we just go and prosecute and persecute the previous people. Right. I'm worried about that cycle starting here.
Yeah, I don't think Americans want that. I think even no matter what happened, I think a lot of Americans on both sides of the aisle, it's like, wait a minute, we have to treat the former president in a different way from the average person. Let me ask you about Getter. This is a big question because we only have so much time. But there was testimony about Twitter, and they're collecting all kinds of information. I'm sure they could get anything on us that they want. The idea that might then fall in the hands of somebody you don't trust is not a good one to a lot of Americans. I was curious your thoughts on that and about financially how Getter, Truth Social are doing, because there are reports there are struggles there.
Well, the Twitter whistleblower testimony we saw yesterday may have been the craziest thing I've ever seen. The fact that the whistleblower said there's an active CCP agent working today at Twitter, and they haven't removed him for the simple fact that they're worried about doing so much business in mainland China. How he has not been put in a headlock and dragged out of that place is crazy.
Also, that whistleblower, before you get to answering Bob's other question, that whistleblower, I do want to point out, was originally hired by Twitter to beef up their cybersecurity and privacy. He was fired in January. So this isn't just someone out of the woodwork. This is someone who specializes in hackers and cybersecurity.
Well, it is. And that's the thing. When you're the CEO of a tech company or something like Getter, which I am, or if you're Agrawal is the head of Twitter, or Zuckerberg, head of Meta, anything, when you have new users join, you're essentially entering into a compact with them that you're going to take care of their data. You're supposed to be taking care of their privacy. But now, as we've seen from Twitter, that's not the case. The fact that they talked about rogue employees could go in and see or manipulate almost anything going on. In fact, that line that the whistleblower said, if you're part of an intelligence operation and you don't have someone currently infiltrating Twitter, then you're not a very good intelligence organization. Or as we saw with TikTok, how they're accessing Americans' data from China and how they're developing algorithms based around our young people. It's really scary. I mean, this is people have got to wake up that if you don't know where your data is going, you don't know how your data has been stored, be careful with TikTok, be careful with Twitter.
Financially, what's going on?
So I can speak to Getter, which we're in great shape financially. We're getting ready to start monetizing with the platform this next month. But our investors have really bought into our long-term vision of what we want to do. We're in good shape. And ultimately, the goal is to make sure we have more decentralization, more free speech, the better. Whether it's Getter, obviously President Trump and Devin Nunes working very hard with Truth. We have to make sure there are more platforms because as we've seen from Twitter and TikTok and even Facebook, you put all your eggs in that basket, we could be in trouble.
All right, Jason Miller, thanks for joining us. Great to have you in studio.
Thank you.
Hey guys, it's Rob Carson. September is historically the worst performing month for the stock market, so you better be ready for it. The Fed continues to aggressively raise rates, and JP Morgan is forecasting another mega rate hike September the 21st. Is that why Jamie Dimon said an economic hurricane is coming our way? Well, gold and silver have remained remarkably stable despite the Fed aggressively raising rates today. The Patriot Gold Group has a special incentive for Newsmax viewers. Huge! Now precious metals investors can enjoy the no-fee for life gold and silver IRA on qualifying rollovers, or enjoy free, discreet, insured shipping on all direct gold and silver purchases. Here's the number, 800-356-4470. Call 800-356-4470 today.